Everybody, I'd like to open the April Surrey Police Board meeting. I'd like to start off by acknowledging the Surrey Police Board recognizes that our work takes place on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples. And welcome everyone for being here today. We have a busy agenda. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mel.
Thank you very much, Administrator Cedar. First, we have adoption of the agenda for April 25th, 2024.
And that agenda is adopted.
Thank you very much. And adoption of the minutes from March 13th, 2024.
Thanks, Mel. Those minutes are also adopted. And if you don't mind, just before we start with our presentations and the delegation, I'd just like to start today's board meeting by making a few comments about Minister Farnworth's announcement this week. On Tuesday, the Minister announced that the Surrey Police Service will become the police of jurisdiction for Surrey on November 29th, 2024. I know this has been a very long road for both the Surrey Police Service and the RCMP. With the Minister's decision on when SPS will be responsible for policing in Surrey, it is my hope that all parties will work together in the best interest of public safety and the best interest of Surrey residents and taxpayers. I want to thank everyone at SPS for their dedication and for their commitment to serving in Surrey. I know that these have been very challenging times for both you and your families, and often lost in this difficult transition is a personal impact that this has had on all of you. As we move forward with the transition date on November 29th, please know that your service has not gone unnoticed. Throughout this transition, public safety has never been compromised, and I know that this has been a priority for both SPS and the RCMP. I want to thank you for your outstanding efforts to keep everybody in Surrey safe. I'd like to take a moment to address the matter of budgets and costs. There have been many inaccurate statements and estimates made about the overall cost of SPS, even as recently as yesterday. The cost of policing is based on a number of factors, including what the policing model will look like for Surrey when we build an annual police budget or a 5-year plan. It is important that we do so in collaboration with City Council, taking into account their priorities. Surrey will soon be the largest city in British Columbia, and this requires public safety planning. Projecting how many police officers are required will be an exercise between SPS, the board, and the City of Surrey. To date, there have been no discussions between the board and the city about changes to the number of police officers required at the end of this transition. Right now, the plan is to stay with the current authorized strength approved by council in their 5-year financial plan. But I am pleased that council has approved an increase of 25 officers per year for the next 5 years. The public should be very aware that it is the board and council that work together on policing priorities and the required resources. Collaboration is key to meeting the expectations of the public that we serve. I was frustrated to hear yesterday that Mayor Locke was using financial comparisons estimates that assume SPS would have 900 police officers, while the RCMP would have remained at 734 officers. This is not a scenario that would have happened. If SPS required 900 officers at some point, so too would the RCMP. In addition, any increase in police officers for Surrey would go through a budgetary request process that would ultimately require the approval of the city. It is not accurate to state that SPS having some two-person vehicles mean we would need more officers. To make it as simple as possible, two-person vehicles means less cars and not more officers. The use of two-person vehicles relates to the use, the deployment, and the efficiency of frontline police officers. It does not change the number of officers deployed, nor the number of officers that SPS would require to police Surrey safely and effectively. Unfortunately, the mayor used this comparison or used this information to inflate the costs of SPS by essentially comparing apples to oranges. What was said yesterday in the media was inaccurate and it was misleading. I also want to correct a statement that was made repeatedly by the City of Surrey that SPS was 22 million over budget in 2023. Let me be clear, SPS was not over budget. The board submitted a budget that was ignored by City Council. Instead, Council allocated a wind-down budget with the assumption that SPS would not exist past the summer of 2023. Once it was clear that SPS would be the police of jurisdiction in Surrey, the city did not reallocate an appropriate budget for the remaining 4 months of 2023. This issue is currently with the Director of Police Services to decide on the 2023 budget. These misrepresentations and allegations that SPS is over budget are confusing and they're unfair to the public. To be clear, the best source for actual costs associated to SPS are in these board meetings and in the financial reports that we post regularly on our website. Regarding the 2024 SPS budget, I think it's important to briefly restate some comments that I made during the budget release in January. First, the SPS budget is fully aligned with the City of Surrey's 2023 to 2027 financial plan. That financial plan allocates $250 million for policing in 2023. Also of note, the city's Q3 2023 financial report states that they would be carrying over $83 million for future policing transition costs. The RCMP and SPS budgets combined are within the city's policing allocation. And I stated that at the end state, SPS would have the same authorized strength and organizational structure as the RCMP. I believe that the taxpayers in Surrey understand that the longer that this transition goes on, the greater that the cost will be. The city needs to support the work to transition as efficiently as possible to contain these costs. The board has no control or oversight over the RCMP budget or its demobilization from Surrey. It is my sincere hope that the City of Surrey will once again work collaboratively with SPS on our shared services agreement to reduce the costs and create better efficiencies. The retaliatory steps taken by the City of Surrey, such as not permitting SPS hires onto their human resources platform, has only frustrated this transition and creates increased costs. This is just one example. As Surrey moves forward with SPS, it will be up to future boards and city councils to work together to determine the required policing resources based on public safety trends, public expectations, and the fiscal realities of the day. My message to the residents of Surrey is this: the Surrey Police Board is here to work with the public and the City Council to create a police service that works for you. A police service that meets your needs, your expectations, and its budget can and it will be managed. Just the same as big cities like Vancouver and Toronto, and small and mid-sized cities like Delta and Abbotsford manage their police budgets. Independent municipal police services exist in the Metro Vancouver region, Vancouver Island, and throughout Canada. Surrey is the largest city in the country that is dependent on contracted policing services from federal government. Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, and Toronto, and every other large city manages policing within their city budgets. The Surrey Police Service is proudly ready to serve, and with our final mandate from the Minister, this will be our focus moving forward. I look forward to SPS taking command of policing in Surrey under the leadership of Chief Lipinski, and it is my hope that all parties will support this path forward and do what is best for the public that we all serve. And with that, Mel, I will turn it back to you and the agenda. Mel, I believe you're on mute.
I did it early in the meeting. First up, we have a presentation from the South Asian Community Hub. We've got Daljit Gilbadesha, Executive Director. Over to you, Chief, if you'd like to introduce.
Yep. Thank you, Mel, and thank you, Daljit, for coming here today. The board should be informed that this is a new endeavor, and I'm really proud to be associated with this endeavor. I thought it's important for the board to know what the South Asia Community Hub is all about. I'll ask Daljit, thank you for being here, to proceed and then take a number of questions thereafter. So Daljit, over to you.
Thank you so much, Chief Lipinski. I'm just going to share my screen here for the presentation. Yep. Everyone can see that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you so much. As the chief mentioned, my name is Daljit Gilbadesha. I'm the inaugural executive director for SUCH, which is the South Asian Community Hub. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to acknowledge that Such provides services in the Surrey area, and we acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including Katzie, Kwantlen, Coquitlam, Kakite, Semiahmoo, Tsawwassen First Nations, and home to the Surrey Delta Métis Association and Inuit peoples. So about us. Such is a grassroots nonprofit that started in 2020, and we received our first round of funding last year in 2023 from the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions. Our mission is to provide support that supports the health and well-being of underserved, diverse communities living here in Surrey by providing low-barrier access to services such as counseling and advocacy through a South Asian perspective. Our vision is that we have strong, healthy, and thriving diverse communities throughout BC. Such stands for safe, accepting, compassionate, and holistic. Those are the values that drive our work. Such also stands for South Asian Community Hub. Such also means truth in Punjabi. And our goal is to bring forth the truth about what our South Asian communities need here in Surrey and beyond. Our organization is supported by a working board. The chair is Harman Singh Pander, and the members include Gary Tandy, Bilal Chima, Tariq Tayab, Jasmine Sekon, and Gurpreet Judge. We have on our board a range of leaders working both in the counseling sector, government relations consultants, people who support the Muslim community with the Division of Family Practice, and those who work in the Surrey and Langley School District as an educator and also as a clinician. The experience that I bring to the table is nearly 30 years, 28 years now of working in the social services sector and local government sector here in Surrey, from all ages, from early years to middle to high school, adults and seniors, providing support that is both intervention, downstream and upstream. So preventative solutions, really trying to tackle root causes of some of the social issues we see here in Surrey and beyond. Such was created to help identify and support the culturally appropriate needs in our community. We want to provide, and we do provide, low-barrier health and social services to the South Asians living in Surrey, predominantly in the Newton and Surrey Central area right now. We know from our experience and the research that BIPOC individuals and their families experience significant challenges related to substance use, mental health, and socioeconomic factors. One of those factors is experiencing homelessness. We also know from the research and our experience that we are underserved in the current healthcare system, and that we have limited services available to us that really address the holistic and unique needs of cultural communities. And that when many South Asians do access services, there's often low engagement in what is currently available. So we provide culturally appropriate, linguistically appropriate services to help meet the needs from a social and structural perspective in the health and social services sector. And some of that work is systemic work to raise awareness on the barriers that exist in the ecosystem. And we also know from our research that when many South Asians access services, they face social stigma and biases within their own communities and within the ecosystem. Many South Asians won't reach out for help for fear of stigma, shame, cultural backlash, and a variety of other reasons that impact their ability to access services. When Such was started in 2020, it was started because of the alarming data coming out from the Fraser Health Chief Medical Officer. That report revealed that in the South Asian community, we were overrepresented in overdose deaths, and that this was mostly males under 40 who had documented mental health conditions and substance use challenges. And in the drug toxicity deaths, South Asian males were also overrepresented compared to the non-South Asian population. And when our board got together, the initial founders, through their research and lived experience and professional experience, what they uncovered is that this is a hidden population where support is needed, and often the issues around becoming homeless are sitting at the cusp of becoming homeless in the homes, but still struggling with mental health and addictions and not coming out to community services to get the help that they need. The concern is further punctuated in recent reports by the BC Coroner's Office, which continues to show that we are, as you know, we have 6 overdoses a day. They're largely male and middle-aged. And those are the clients that when we do our street outreach that we see. What's really important from the BC Coroner's data is that the place of injury is largely in the homes. And this is important in our community because we know for fear of stigma for having an addiction or a mental health concern that clients are not getting help. And so they're dying in their own homes. And this number continues to rise. In 2022, it was 55% of adult males that were dying in their homes. And now it's 80% in 2024. So the issue is significant. And the majority of deaths are those between the ages of 30 to 59, and 76% are males from Surrey and surrounding areas. So to start to address the concerns that we saw when we formed the organization, we created a wraparound model. And our model is a mobile outreach model. We take information and services to the clients. And a lot of this is related to street outreach. We engage in street outreach walks with the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction. We work in partnership with that ministry, with our staff and their staff going out together to provide information. And we provide a range of information and advocacy for our clients. Often it starts with income assistance information. Many of our clients have lost their identification, so we help them get information on how to apply for identification. If they need support filling out forms on getting onto income assistance or housing, or information related to a child with a disability. The support that we provide is very unique to the individual story of each client and very wraparound. We work with Moving Forward Family Services. When a client needs counseling support, we partner with Moving Forward and they provide the clinical side of the work. And in many cases, we see clients who might be leaving, for example, the Fraser Health, the hospital, and have nowhere to go. So we help them provide the navigation of the system to connect them to some of the other social services that are available. Our vision at Such is to have a South Asian community hub, a physical site where we can co-locate with other service providers and wrap around clients so they get the services that they need. So that when a client comes to us for service, they only have to tell us their story once and we wrap around them in a holistic way. What we know from the way services are currently delivered is often the male has to go to one program. If there's a wife or a mother involved, she has to go to another program for services. Children are often going to a whole nother program. And there's really limited support available for those families that are living multi-generationally to support the grandparents in the household around anyone who's struggling with a mental health and or addiction. So we believe that a physical site can help wrap around the client and we can give them the services they need in a more holistic and wraparound manner. This approach is similar to the Foundry model for youth and other hub models you would also know about. Our aim would be to locate the site in Newton area of Surrey, because that's where we know we have a large South Asian population, and we believe that is the most accessible location for the clients that we see. Since we started in the last few years, in our short time, we have formed significant partnerships. As mentioned, we're funded by the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions. We have a formal MOU with the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction. We have a formal partnership with Moving Forward Family Services to provide the counseling services. And on the screen here, you'll see a range of other partners that we've engaged with in our first few years of service. When we first started without the funding, our board they continue to work in a volunteer way, but they engage volunteers from many of these organizations to do community events where they handed out food supplies, harm reduction supplies, clothes, and other community and resource information. As you can see on the screen here, we've been engaging with the Surrey Police as well. We're really pleased to see the level of partnerships come forward to work together in a holistic way to meet the needs of the clients that we all share within the system. As Chief would know, and a couple of his staff, they came to the roundtable we had with Minister Whiteside in March. And there, our staff shared stories about some of the outreach clients we work with. And while I won't get into those specific stories, what I want to let you know is that our approach is really based on building a relationship, gaining trust, and being there for the clients, so that if and when they're ready to seek further help, we can help bridge them. In some cases, the client himself is not ready, but we're hearing from their family members who need the support while they're waiting for their family member to come to the realization that help is needed and help is possible. Our reality at this time is that through our mobile hub, we are reaching clients. And we want to expand this to a co-located physical hub. We also know that the way in which we're working is that we are serving an unmet need. We help navigate within a complicated system and take information and services to the client. We are not trying to duplicate or replicate any other social services that exist. Our goal is, in fact, to bring those services closer together to the client. So the outreach, cultural navigation, systems brokering work we're doing is very unique to our organization. The other reality we know at this time is South Asians are not counted specifically in the Surrey homelessness data. In fact, I'm meeting with the City of Surrey later to discuss this issue. In Vancouver, there was a race-based disaggregated count, and they noted that the homelessness population had 3% South Asians. And we know and we believe, based on our experience and conducting the outreach walks, is that that is an underrepresentation of the South Asians who are currently homeless. So our reality is that we're raising awareness, not just with our clients around what information is available to them, but also to all the partners that are in the ecosystem of the social and health sectors out here. And we are launching our inaugural fundraiser tomorrow, and we are pleased to note that the Surrey Police will be present. And the goal of the fundraiser is, of course, to raise funds because we are wanting to continue to expand our services. But the more important goal that's emerging is creating a space for us to start to bring these issues forward in community and have a conversation. We've engaged in significant media work related to the fundraiser and starting to talk about mental health and addictions. And we're pleased with the level of support we're seeing in terms of participation for our fundraiser with our social services, but also our business leaders. They're really stepping up to come forward and support such an important cause. I want to also add, for the first time, we believe we're seeing partnership with our places of worship in a very different way, which is our gurdwaras. So we have support from many gurdwaras here in Surrey and the Metro Vancouver area where they're supporting our fundraiser. And we believe it's because the work that we're doing is values aligned with serving community. And as you will know, the South Asian community is well known for the service that we provide, which we say seva, to those in need in the communities within which we live. At this time, we would love to have continued and expanded support and partnership with the Surrey Police. We have some thoughts on what we could work on together, and we're open to opportunities that you see where we can work together. Some examples could be to collaborate during our outreach walks, to help socialize and normalize police and social services working together. Can we share data in any way where we can inform each other's research and strategies so that our work continues to be culturally responsive and equitable? When it comes to equity approaches, all of our organizations continue to learn how we can do this better. One day when our dream comes true and we establish a physical site, can Surrey Police staff have a presence at that site? So these are some of the questions and ideas that we have formulated, and we're very open to more ideas from the team here. I'd like to finish by saying thank you for the opportunity to present to you today, and I look forward to having a dialogue with all of you here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Daljit, for all your work. And before I do have a few questions, but I just want to thank you and your team, leadership team, because mental health, addictions, homelessness is such a significant issue, and to be able to connect with the South Asian community and break down the barriers, I think is critical as we move forward. And I love your no wrong door approach, which I think is absolutely necessary, that there shouldn't be barriers to accessing treatment. And that's exactly what you're doing. And that is a way to success. Chief, before my questions, I'll turn over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation, Daljit. When Daljit put together a roundtable, and there was a number of ministers there, and we had a good discussion, and it was very clear that this organization is moving forward. And as I spoke at the roundtable, Surrey Police Service is about community wellness, not strictly law enforcement, but community wellness. And having that connection with an organization like SACH is going to pay great dividends to the community, not only from a public trust perspective, but also from a wellness perspective. So I thank you, Daljit, that you and your volunteers put in so many hours and give so much of yourselves to really better the community. So thank you for that. Over to you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and I'm very proud to see that SPS has a good relationship and is working with your team, because that's critical. And so one of my questions is there an opportunity for the members at SPS to refer people who they may come into contact through the regular duties to SACH and to help provide that assistance? I just know that's critical, where people sometimes just need that guidance. So.
Absolutely. We are here to help. And if we could work to support the officers by working directly with the clients and providing the clients with information on what else is available to them, we're happy to be that broker in the middle. That's often the kind of work that we do.
Yeah, which is a real benefit for the police officer on the road who are supporting somebody with mental health, addictions, or homelessness, to be able to provide them direct access to somebody with community support. And so I'm happy to hear that. No, I hope everything goes really well with the fundraiser. I think you're right, having certainly a brick and mortar facility that people know where that's at. Once that's established, will you continue to have a mobile units? Will still be out mobile, I assume, in the community?
Yes, we want the physical site to be the place that clients can come during, when they need to share their story or have their wraparound support available to them. But what we're learning through our practice is that the outreach is where we are really finding those clients that are falling through the cracks in the system. And without that outreach component, a site and a facility is not sufficient. And we see that with other programs through detox programs, treatment programs. Clients don't always come to you. You have to go to them in many cases and help bring them to the services that are available.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And just last question, I see you have a lot of expertise with youth. So I do really like the prevention strategy, the early intervention strategy. Do you have some of those programs that you're really focusing on with our youth to help support them so they don't find themselves in these very difficult situations? Or?
Well, that would be part of our aspiration as we grow as an organization. As mentioned, we are a grassroots a nonprofit. We have very part-time outreach staff, and I myself am a very part-time ED to this organization. We're building that foundation slowly. This summer, we will be hiring some students, some youth themselves with the Canada Students Program. And so we will be able to engage more with the youth through those staff over the summer as well. And we, just like as you said, we know it starts with prevention.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you very much for all your efforts and your team's efforts. It's exceptional or extraordinary, the work and time you put into this, and it will make a difference. So thank you so much for being here and presenting today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Mel, I will turn it back to you, please.
Thank you very much. Moving into the agenda under consent items, we have correspondence from the Assistant Deputy Minister with relation to the approval of the conducted energy weapon and amendments to the related BC provincial policing standards. So, Chief, I turn this over to you. It's a consent item, but if you have anything you'd like to say about it.
Just very quickly, the ADM gave approval to a new, more refined conductive energy weapon. And we have an older model. And as we need to replace, I'm just bringing it here to the board, that we will be upgrading to this model called the Taser 7. And it's indicative of the forward-leaning position of the SPS, where we are looking to have the best equipment to de-escalate, to deal with situations where there is a positive outcome for everyone. So as we need to replace, we'll be making it a budget item. That is all for now.
Thanks, Chief. Mel?
Okay, moving on to reports. Chief Constable reports. We have verbal on transition updates. Chief?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to give a little bit of context before I talk about the great decision this week about November 29th. And as I look back, it's a bigger picture that we should be all aware of that led us to this date. As you recall, in 2018, there was a unanimous vote in council to move towards a Surrey police service. In 2022, a new council voted to reverse that. But as the law stands, there was a requirement by the new council to prove to the minister that the reversal would be safe and that the reversal would reach the threshold of adequate and effective policing. Submissions were made, and the minister made the comment, in fact, publicly yesterday, that the City of Surrey submission had failed to meet the threshold. Therefore, SPS moves forward. You'll recall that there was then a policy decision to continue with the transition. That was followed up by putting it into law, that being the amendments to the Police Act that received royal assent on October 26, 2023. The transition moved forward. The minister hired an advisor, and she, Jessica McDonald, began putting together an HR plan. There is much discussion about a plan. We put together our HR plan of how we saw we would mobilize and how the RCMP would demobilize, and submitted it to her. And of course, she was working or gaining information from the RCMP on what their plan would look like. We know that there was some anomalies with the budget in 2023. Mr. Chair, you've already highlighted that. And then we moved to January of this year. The City of Surrey reportedly approached the province looking to negotiate a path forward. And those negotiations, as we know, were not fruitful. And as a result of that, the minister with the federal government and with the RCMP determined a path forward. And the POJ date was set for November 29th. And as the minister has said numerous times, on that Tuesday, there was obviously myself, the minister, and the RCMP standing together in moving this transition forward. And so that was a milestone event, not only because we were all standing there shoulder to shoulder, but also because the date, November 29th, where the change of command will take place. And so the next steps, what we are doing now is working with the minister's staff to augment or amend the good work that was done by the special advisor in her HR plan. The landscape is a little bit different now, and so we need to have another look at those numbers and those sequence of events. And there will be more reporting out in the coming weeks, and certainly on a monthly basis, I will report to the board. I want to thank the men and women of the SPS, both sworn and non-sworn. So much work went into the last number of years that brought us to last Tuesday. Our men and women on the front line, they've gone to thousands of calls. They've done some great community engagement. We now have 367 Surrey Police Service officers and about 61 civilians. And so this city needs stability. This city needs to maximize public safety, and we need to move ahead very quickly. I'll end by thanking the community. They have been tremendous in supporting us wherever we go. When we engage with the community and that kind of communication back and forth, it builds legitimacy in policing, public trust, and what it will do is open up lines of communication, which is so important. So we are in a good place. We are excited about moving forward. We do have a lot of work to do, but we're very confident and we're very capable of moving in that direction. Mr. Chair, I will end there.
Well, thank you, Chief, and thank you for your comments. And I echo them regarding, SPS staff. I know this has been a challenging time, but like you, I mean, in meeting with people within the community that they really want to move forward. And I think it's important as you talk about the transition plan and keeping us updated. Part of the transition plan is always included, multiple parties at the table, the RCMP, the SPS, the city, to work on these transition plans. So it's my sincere hope that the city will come back to the table and help us with this transition plan. As I said, the times that they're not there to walk us through, whether it be their PeopleSoft software or other things that we're challenged with, but that will certainly help expedite the transition. And and to see the RCMP with you there was very important to work collaboratively, because that's going to be a big part of this transition. So thank you. I know there's a lot of work ahead. I know you're working very closely with everybody, including the strategic advisor, to move this forward effectively, efficiently, and keeping the community safe. So I have no questions at this time, and I look forward to hearing more about the transition plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next we have item number 2, which is the SPS Cedar Award. And Chief Lipinski, I turn it over to you, and I believe you have Stephen Hurst with you as well as a guest.
Yes, I have Acting Inspector Stephen Hurst, and I'll call on him to describe this new award. This is an indication of some of our community work that we have done, and recognizing the land that we work and play on. And it's very important to us to have that connection to the community. So Stephen, if I can ask you to make a couple of comments about this award. You're on mute, Steve.
There we go. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Chief and Administrator Sir. The Cedar Award is also known as the Cedar Award, and it's crucial in terms of demonstrating how we are different and how we are attempting to weave the fabric of Indigenous recognition into the culture of SPS. When our members are sworn in, they are sworn in with a cedar brushing, and it's such an impactful and meaningful gesture and ritual that really helps form the beginning of our service delivery for the city and to our First Peoples that have been here since time immemorial. So as we continue to mark important milestones in building community-based policing for Surrey, it's important to acknowledge and celebrate the accomplishments of our people. SPS is committed to fully supporting our employees, from state-of-the-art training to supporting their mental well-being, to recognizing the great work they do. I was fortunate in my previous career with the RCMP to be quite conversant in honors and recognition. And in this vein, I've been able to assist in facilitating the creation of an Indigenous Spirit Award that recognizes aspects of Indigenous culture and how they can certainly relate to service delivery. SPS is pleased to announce the establishment of the Surrey Police Cedar or CEPE Award. This award is part of our awards and commendations program and available to all SPS employees, both sworn and civilian. The establishment of the SPS Cedar Award represents a connection between local Indigenous people and SPS employees who act as guardians for all. The actions being awarded do not need to be associated to actions, calls for service, or initiatives related to Indigenous peoples. The Cedar Award is presented to nominated employees who best exemplify the spirit of the Cedar as outlined below. So for guardians, that relates to exemplary service delivery and or operational performance that advances public safety by way of a single act, series of actions, or initiatives. Providers, this relates to exemplary community engagement via a single act, series of actions or initiatives. Or healers, and which relates to the championing of wellness within the community or the SPS by way of a single act, series of actions or initiatives. Nominations will be reviewed by the SPS Awards and Commendations Committee, and accepted nominations will be shared with representatives of the Semiahmoo First Nations for their endorsements and blessings. And we're attempting to do, again, something quite innovative and share these nominations via oral tradition. So we'll speak with the members of the community and provide the nominations orally. Recipients of this award will receive a gift of cedar from the Semiahmoo First Nation and a pin depicting a cedar bough, which will be displayed on all orders of dress of their uniform or in business attire for civilians. And we have a photo of that available for you. I believe we can try and get that up.
It's up there, Stephen. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. The first presentation of this award is going to be at our 2024 awards and recognition ceremony this fall, and it's very, very exciting for us to be launching this initiative. It's been quite a while in the making, and we've got approved social media, internal and external communication lines in support of this once it's endorsed, or as it is endorsed by the SPB. And happy to take any questions on it at this time.
Well, thank you, Acting Inspector Hurst. It is a exceptional recognition of the work and what we expect from the employees at SPS. And I've been to a swearing-in ceremony, and the cedar brushing is very meaningful. So thank you. I think it's an outstanding initiative, and I'm very happy to see that the Semiahmoo First Nations are part of the entire process. That's critical. And I have no further questions, but just that it's, I think it's a very, very positive step. Chief?
Yes, thank you for the presentation, Stephen, and thank you for initiating this. Mr. Chair, one of the advantages we have with 28 different agencies represented in SPS is there's a lot of great ideas. And we look to having more ideas come to the board in the open portion and let the community know of how leading edge we are, and a lot of good things will be coming to the SPS and the community in the months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Acting Inspector Hurst. It's a great initiative. I'm looking forward to seeing that as a commendation ceremony in the fall. It'll be outstanding. Mel, back to you, please.
Thank you very much. Our third and final report from the chief is a financial update with respect to year-to-date expenditures ending March 31st, 2024. Chief?
Yes, thanks, Mel. I'll ask Nathan to get his slides up and to walk us through the financial matters. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Administrator, this report presents an update on our 2024 year-to-date expenditures as of March. I will go through a few slides, then take any questions you may have. Our 2024 provisional budget of 142 million is used as the reference amount for the budget versus actual comparison throughout the report. As of now, what we know is the city staff have proposed a total policing budget of $250 million to council. That includes 28 million for city police support service and 222 million for police services. The allocation of the 222 million between the RCMP and SPS has yet to be determined. We do not know that allocation yet. So at the end of March, our year-to-date expenditures were at 19 million. That's approximately 14% utilization of our total provisional budget. However, please note that we have not received the police transition project fund details from the city yet when we wrote this report, so we didn't include that amount. So on average, our monthly expenses over the last 3 months was about $6.3 million. That expenditure rate is very consistent with last year. Our largest areas of cost right now is salaries and benefits. We've spent $18 million on staffing, which is about 95% of our total cost so far in the first quarter. Other than maintaining our current costs for salaries and benefits, we have been lean on other expenditures, as you can tell by the percentages compared to the provisional budget, as we wait for confirmation on whether the city will fund our full provisional budget as presented. And there hasn't been much activity on our financials other than salary and benefits, so this report is presented for information. I'll take any questions you may have.
Thanks, Nathan. Can you just confirm it's May when you expect to get the final numbers or the confirmation from the city regarding our budget?
We're having ongoing conversations with them requesting that information. So we do expect that in May we'll probably know that number. Okay.
And there may be some slight adjustments in our budget as we go on, just based on some of the delays that we've experienced. They may actually see the budget change ever so slightly. Is that possible?
Correct. Once we have landed on a new HR plan, hiring plan, we'll factor all that into the new budget or revised projection.
Okay. And it's going to be pretty important or critical that we hear soon about this budget, because there's a lot of things that have been put on hold that we're trying to work through with, capital costs, vehicles and other things that we've had challenges trying to secure while we're waiting for this budget. And I know there's some significant timelines coming up.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, well, I anticipate in the April meeting that we will, or board meeting, that we'll receive more information and hopefully have a better, the May meeting, have a better understanding of where we are. Yeah. And Chief, I just want to mind, because it's just it's such a critical point, because it keeps coming up, the misinformation regarding the two-person cars. And Nathan and Chief, please feel free, if I want to walk through this just real quick, and if I have any mistakes, correct me, but I think it's important for the public to just clearly understand there's no cost implication or increases with a two-person car model. So first off, just as a hypothetical, there's 30 police officers working on the front lines, Chief, in Surrey. We have a choice, or you have a choice as a chief. You can have 30 one-person cars, or you can have 20 one-person cars and 5 two-person cars. The only thing that changed was the number of cars that are on the road. If I'm not mistaken, 40%, 45% roughly of all calls that SPS would attend and RCMP would attend require 2 people. So currently that often means that a one-person car would have to wait, a block away while they wait for a secondary car to show up. A two-person car would be typically more efficient in that kind of scenario. And that currently the agreement is there's no been set percentage yet with two-person cars, but there's just ongoing, and I'll have to look at the data and analysis of just getting the cost benefit or the benefit operationally of having two-person cars that keeps community safe. And this is a practice that's used in all or most, certainly bigger cities, just for safety, effectiveness of policing. So But there is no cost increase, no additional resources with that type of model. So I just want to just, for you, if you don't mind, if I misrepresented any of that, please. But I just think the public has been really been told on a couple occasions about this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. There seems to be misinformation about two-person cars. Every major city in Canada has an element of two-person cars. It is based on data analysis, as you mentioned. So when there is a number or a certain percentage of calls that require two people to go there, two police officers, and that is replicated over and over again, all night long, Friday night, Saturday night, entertainment districts of major cities and so forth and so on, then that analysis takes place and there is a formula to determine how many two-person cars you would need. And what that does is, number one, it is safer for our members. It is safer for the public. As you indicated, one person arriving and waiting for another one-person car before going into a crisis situation, that could compromise the safety of the situation. And so if there's a two-person car, then they go in right away. The other part of this is efficiency, and you alluded to it. Less cars. And so this is not to say that you have a certain amount of people and everybody doubles up. It is based on analysis, and it is based on the shift, and it is based on the day and the time of day. And that's what we will be bringing to Surrey. And in the collective agreement, it indicates that we are to do the analysis, and then we move forward with a plan for the number of two-person cars. And we will do that as soon as we become a POJ. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Nathan, I saw your hand up briefly. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we have already started to reflect that cost efficiencies in our 2024 provisional budget. Because historically, we've always proposed 30 to 35 cars per year to take over the regular replacement cycle of our CMP vehicles as we deploy our vehicles. But in the 2024 budget, we dropped that down to 25 vehicles to reflect that efficiency. So we're starting to budget for less vehicles than normally projected for the city's cost.
Thank you, Nathan. And yeah, it's important. And thank you, Chief. And I'm just really hoping that, when we hear some of the conversations or, the statements that are made, it's important that you and Nathan, yourself, and the board, corrects that and make sure that the public has a complete understanding of what this means. And if there is increased cost implications, it's important they know that too. But thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for clarifying that does not mean more officers. And I hope that maybe that will put this to rest. Mel, back to you, please.
Thank you very much. So that concludes the chief's reports. We have no items under F, G, or H on the agenda. So that brings us to item I, the next meeting, which will be held on May 29th, 2024. And at this point now, we need approvals from you, Administrator, to hold a meeting in a closed session under section 69(2) C and D of the Police Act.
Thank you, Mel. It's approved. We'll move to the closed and we will start at 1 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Thank you.